And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Well, welcome everyone to another edition of the Weighing In Podcast with the real punk Josh Thompson, Podcast Dave on the controls.
Boo, boo.
And the best part of the whole podcast sitting right in front of you. It's me. That's right, John McCarthy.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
We got a lot to talk about. We actually have fights that are coming up, so we have some fights to talk about that will be interesting. A lot of things going on in the world of combat sports.
You mean in the world? A lot of things going on
and
in
I
the world.
think that we're going to do a little bit of question and answer near the end of this, so we'll get into some of that.
We may get one or two questions in there. We'll see. I do have a couple things that I wanted to talk about, but first, I want to thank all of the fans. We talked about you guys doing the thumbs up for us on YouTube. We want to do it again. We didn't quite hit our mark of 5,000, but we're a little bit over 3,000, which I want to thank you guys for. And I did notice in the comment section, you guys were hyped about it. Hey, this is good. I'm glad you guys did it. But some of you guys said, hey, you guys didn't talk about it in the beginning of the show, which we did, but I'm going to talk about it right now. I want to give it a little bit more input. We want to thank you guys. Hit the thumbs up. We want to try to get the 5,000 likes for this video as well. We will be talking about the Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar fight as well. So I hope you guys can keep hitting that thumbs up that shares our videos, and that lets everyone else know that you guys liked it. So when people click on our video and they see all the thumbs up, they're like, you know what? This is a good show. Let's see if we can keep watching it. So
How
we
could
appreciate
they think anything but.
I know.
Come on, let's be honest.
With me here, I mean,
dude, your fake crowd noise. Oh, it's bad.
It is bad. It is bad. I want to give a couple little shout outs to these two young men that are out there. We've got two friends that have some young kids. So we have Ollie the Sharpshooter. You guys can go to his YouTube channel if you guys have kids. He's putting out some videos. It's called Ollie the Sharpshooter on YouTube. Can you guys like their page, please? We'd really appreciate it. And then we have the KT Experience as well. That one just got started as well. So if you guys can, just go around there and just kind of hit the thumbs up on them or hit them on and give them a follow if you would. We'd appreciate that. Just two young kids trying to get their YouTube channels started out that are good friends of ours. So there was a couple things. One thing I wanted to clarify, John, before we get into this Max Holloway fight.
Clarifications, we're in trouble.
Is last week, or actually a couple days ago, we were talking about the Nemkov, Nemkov versus who's the champ in the UFC 205? Blachowicz.
Or
Izzy. Sorry, Izzy.
Adesanya.
Him against Izzy. Sorry, we were talking about Nemkov and Izzy, and like what we thought. And people said, hey, there's no way that Nemkov is a better wrestler than Yoel Romero. And I agree with you. I agree with everyone 100%.
Who said he was?
They said that we were saying that because we were saying that, we said that he had good wrestling, probably the best wrestling that he has faced is what we had said. So I guess I could see how people perceive that because Izzy has faced Yoel Romero. But let me remind people of this.
Okay, because
Yoel
people
Romero
perceive things wrongly. Sorry.
That is not our fault. Yoel Romero, though, yes, he is the best wrestler. Let's be honest, though. He doesn't use it.
He doesn't wrestle.
So it's one thing to say, like, yes, he is the best wrestler. I agree, hands down. Yoel Romero is the best wrestler that Izzy's ever faced. Nemkov would not be that. But Nemkov would use it more than Yoel Romero did against Izzy. And that's what makes the difference of it. And so we all know that. Like, you look at the Machida fight up until Yoel used his wrestling. I mean, it was a close fight back and forth, but the fight didn't actually have any, Yoel didn't use his wrestling, so we didn't get to see how good it was. We knew how good it was.
The impact happened when?
Yeah, when he uses wrestling, yes. And so I wanted to get that clarified because, I do read the comment sections. I try not to post because I do get a little aggro. But no, I do read the comment sections. I love you guys, man, because I do like to read. You know what? I actually go through there to read the positive stuff. And on YouTube's not known for being positive. It's like a fire pit of shitstorm in there, but it's great. Our fans are actually pretty cool though. A lot of them they started sticking up for us now. I love that. Like some of the some people are like, oh, this sucks or this, like John, look at those cheap ass headphones John's wearing. Those are the same headphones that Joe Rogan wears. And they're not cheap, guys. They're not cheap at all. I was laughing. But Yeah, but then it's funny because then we'll have guys that are down, you know, as they comment, someone will say, you know what? I like John's headphones. Leave them alone. We didn't used to have people like that before. I love it. Thanks to you guys for sticking up for us.
I got a Scottish girl that DMs me all the time. She's like, hey, can you tell Josh to stop reading the comments because he gets so angry.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, John, what do you got, buddy?
Dude, you know what I got? I have a great fight coming up with Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar, which I think is going to be Calvin Kattar. I say Kattar all the time. Calvin Kattar, I think it's going to be a phenomenal fight. You talk about starting the year off right. It's a little weird. It's on some channel I think I've heard in the past when I was really young called ABC.
Yeah.
You don't hear about
those.
the ABCs and NBCs and CBS that much anymore. It's like everything is about the cable channel. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting. Yeah, it's obvious that the UFC has done very well for ESPN, and now Disney, who owns both ESPN and ABC, is going, okay, we want to bring a little bit of that magic over and get a little input into our station here at ABC with the fight, which is only showing that the sport of MMA is continuing to grow. So it's a great thing.
Yeah, I think ABC needs a little bit of help. Their ratings suck. And so they were like, hey, you know what? We need a little bit of that to kind of help save our platform. And can we borrow them for a little bit? So I think it's smart on their part. Obviously very smart. And the ratings have been doing well for ESPN. And I can see why they're doing that. It's very smart on their part. I mean, anytime you get an opportunity to steal some viewership from another company, I think it's still going to be on ESPN though, right? It will still be on ESPN Plus, I believe. So people that have paid for ESPN Plus don't feel like you've wasted your money. What do you think of the fight? We had talked about this fight previously, saying, you know what, that would be a great fight to put together. And ding, 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 ding. I feel like Dana sometimes listens to us, and Dana, takes us into consideration.
Well, he did post your show.
Yeah, he did post our show, right? Digging at us. I love it. What do you think of this fight? I think it's fucking phenomenal.
I think it's a classic matchup of two guys that are outstanding in the stand-up, but they approach it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the real question of who's the one that's going to be able to impose what they do to be effective in this fight. I think Calvin's got more power. I think he's got the power advantage in this with his hands. I think Max is a little bit more diverse with his kicks and some of the strikes that he'll throw based upon getting in close with elbows. Calvin is more boxing centric, so he goes after things with his hands a lot. He will open it up, but it's not quite as much. But I do think that it's the angles that Calvin creates and his footwork. And I love the footwork of Max, but Calvin does a really good job of coming in, landing multiple strikes, and then escaping out, cutting an angle, creating it so his opponent cannot return fire on him and land with any power. They can touch him, but they can't land with power. And Max is going to have to figure out that puzzle. This is when you're looking at stylistic matchups, this is a hard one for him. I kind of look at it similar in the stand-up area when Max fought Conor McGregor. Obviously a long time ago, younger fighters, but same type of thing.
Okay, so there's a couple ways I want to go with this. I think that if Max puts pressure on him, he's going to take some big shots early in the fight. If he can weather those big shots, I think by the 4th and 5th round, he'll start to be able to put such a pace on Calvin that I don't think Calvin's going to be able to keep up, because Max can mix it up from the wrestling to the grappling to the submissions to the ground control. I think is better than Calvin if he can get him down. That's the other thing. But Max has got to make sure that it's an MMA fight, not just a stand-up fight. If he mixes it up, I think he has a good chance of winning this fight, especially later in the fight in rounds 4 and 5. I think he'll start to run away with it and towards the end of the 3, 4, and 5. If he gets started early in the grappling part. I'm not saying he needs to get the takedown. He doesn't need to force it, but he needs to threaten it to keep Calvin.
Make him think about it.
He needs to make him think about it, so it slows that reaction time down just a tad bit. If he can get him to hesitate for a split second, that'll open up the hands and the kicks and the knees and everything else that Max needs to win this fight. That's one way. That's one thing that goes through my mind when I think of this fight. And the next thing that goes through my mind is he hasn't been Max. When you lose your title, you got to find that motivation again. And people are like, oh, you should be motivated to get it back. It doesn't work that way, guys. I wish it does. It doesn't always work that way. Like, oh, he should be ready to go. He's amped up. No. He's been defending that title for so long. And then when he lost it, and he lost it twice, he lost it again, which it was so close. There is a little bit of frustration in there. It's almost like, gosh, am I ever going to get back there? And if he loses this fight, that's what's going through the back of his mind right now. Is he's thinking, if I lose this, I'm getting set back all the way back to like number 5, somewhere number 5, number 6, somewhere in there. He's like, I won't see another title shot for 3 or 4 more fights. That's probably about 2 years. You know what I mean? That's a long time to a fighter. They're thinking in their mind, damn, I got a lot of work to do. And I know when you're on your way up, you don't think about that. You think like, okay, one fight at a time. You're thinking, sure, can't wait to get the title. And you're just plucking the guys off as you're on your way up. This fight, though, right now is if I lose, it's going to set him back. So there's a lot of emotions, I think, going through his mind. He needs to fight a very smart fight to win this fight. He needs to be on point. If he's not on point, it's going to be a long night for him. And then the longer the fight goes, where he doesn't threaten or he's not having, it's not going his way, he can start to get more frustrated, and it can start slowing him down even more. He can start overthinking things and not just reacting. He needs to go out there and have fun, like we've seen him have. He's out there having fun. He's fucking one of the hardest guys to beat in the world if he's out there having a good time.
No doubt.
When he's taking it too serious, I think he's not the same fighter. And there's a little bit of that I think that will happen in this fight if things don't start to go his way early, or how he wants them to go early, because he knows that if he loses this fight, it's going to set him back 2 years before he gets another title shot.
All good points, and I agree with you on most of them. I really look, there's a couple of fights that Calvin has had, especially that fight. Do you remember the fight he had with Shane Burgos?
No, I don't.
Oh my God. I mean, I think it went in the beginning of the 3rd round, but it was the combination that he hit Burgos with. But he was willing to exchange with Burgos because he knows he's got power. Now, I'm not saying Shane Burgos doesn't have power. He does. But it was that fight that tells me Max has got to do exactly what you were saying. He has got to make this an MMA fight. He cannot sit there and think that he is going to just outstrike Calvin Kattar and he's going to win the fight. That's in my opinion the least likely road to victory for Max Holloway. He has got to create situations. Almost, you look at when Calvin fought Dan Ige. Ige was trying for takedowns. He was, and if you're asking me, and I love Dan, he's a stud. He's a fucking just a tough dude. But let's be honest. Let's take a look at the tools that each guy has, and especially when it comes to the stand-up.
Yeah.
Dan, he's going after him with a freaking, a BB gun compared to a guy with a freaking, a Glock. He doesn't have the stand-up tools to stay with, but he was trying to get the fight to the ground at times. He was trying to make it a grimy fight. And that's what kept him in the fight, because Keator had to actually deal with that, and it slowed his offensive progression down. And that's exactly what I think Max has to do. He has to make him deal with all of the aspects of MMA. Don't just make this, we're going to go out there and we're going to sling it down, brah. No. Not the game plan to get you a win.
You think pretty highly of Glocks, apparently, because I do. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, because I said it first, but yeah, I agree with what you're saying. He just got to fight smart, and if he mixes it all up, I think it's going to be a great fight. He's got to. That's the one thing I felt like he got away with. He got away from as when he was fighting and defending his title. He was having fun, which made it successful. He just started just picking people apart. I think it started before the Brian Ortega fight, but you really saw it come out in the Brian Ortega fight. Just touch, not a lot of mixing it up. He was just putting on a show out there and having a good time. He's got to do the same thing here, but he's got to mix in a lot more of the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu part of it all. And like I said, it doesn't matter if he gets it. He just needs to threaten it. He needs to make Calvin feel like it's a possibility. If I get taken down, I may lose this round just being on my back the whole time. Well, John, the other fight that I wanted to chat about real quick was the Matt Brown and Carlos Condit fight. I'm glad to see the legends get a little props here by being in the co-main event.
Do you think they're getting love?
I hope so, man. I mean, I want to believe. I want to believe that.
I want to believe it.
I want to believe that they deserve it. They deserve to be there. There's no one else on that card I think that deserves to be in that number 2 spot over them. If I looked at the rest of the card, don't get me wrong, I think it's one of those sneaky good cards, with not a lot of name power. But I also think that these guys they have big names. That they're going to fight. They're going to fight hard, and I think they deserve to be there.
All right, so tell me who wins this one.
I'm going to go with Condit.
Yeah, me too.
He just got less miles on him. That's the biggest thing. Like Carlos don't get me wrong, he's fought the who's who, and we know that. So is Matt Brown, but Carlos has less miles on him, like actual damage fight miles. And at the ages that they're at, what Matt's 40, how old's Carlos? 36. 36. Oh, that even makes sense.
Carlos has the more complete game.
Yeah, he does.
Especially if it hits the ground.
Yes.
Carlos on the ground is a lot better than people give him credit for. He's sneaky good on the ground. Now he's not Damian Maia, but he is absolutely good on the ground.
Yeah. He when he was in the WC, he was on the ground quite a bit.
Oh yeah, he was submitting good guys.
Exactly.
Remember Brock Larson?
Yes,
Brock Larson
I do.
Was a freaking monster on the ground.
Yeah.
Carlos Condit submitted him.
Yep.
Tapped him out.
Yeah, I do remember that. I remember watching that fight too. Carlos was really good on the ground. Then he got to the UFC, and I think a lot of people just started avoiding the takedowns with him. They didn't want to take him down. They were like, he's good.
Yeah.
What do you? Matt Brown's gonna walk this down. He's gonna try to put a lot of pressure. He's gonna try to work his way in. But I'm just saying, I think Carlos is very good at keeping defensively, keeping a strong defense. And I think the age factor will play a difference a little bit, 40 and 36. I know 36 is still, it's not in your prime, but the activity is still there. At 40, remember who were we talking about just recently where just getting hit is like, it doesn't feel as good. I think at that age, some guys can just continue to do it. We've seen it with Randy Couture. We've seen it with Dan Henderson. These guys fought into their, late 40s. But not everyone has that ability to take shots. Not everyone has the ability to continue to keep going after they hit 40, 42, 44. I think with Matt Brown, I mean, if anyone's going to be able to do it, it'll be him. He reminds me a little bit of that gritty, tough, still worker, kind of just those Dan Henderson hands that are like leather, like just leather. Matt Brown would be the guy, but I think Carlos, the technique will be there, the conditioning will be there, the push of the pace will be there, and I don't know if Matt Brown can continue that at 40 years old.
Carlos is very good at controlling range, keeps things to the outside when he wants most of the time. Matt has got to bring this into a phone booth fighting situation where he's really good with his elbows. He comes across well. I just don't see him being able to get the fight into that range that he wants often enough to be successful. So, but it's going to be a fun fight, and there's never been a Matt Brown fight that I haven't enjoyed.
That's true.
He's fun to watch, and so is Carlos. And like I said, one of the things about Carlos, I've always said, he's one of those guys that, man, he's got that mean side to him. He's just nasty, and when he steps in the cage, he's got an evil side, and I love that about him. So
does he really? He seems very
nice.
Dude.
No, dude. No.
He seems very nice.
Yeah, he seems very nice because he is very nice. As soon as he steps out of the cage, he's a nice guy. But he's called the natural born killer for a reason. He has got a mean streak in him, and you can see it when he's fighting. He's tough.
Let me ask you this. Carlos Condit's 36. I don't know where does Matt Brown train?
Oh, in Ohio, where he lives, man.
Yeah, he lives. He owns his own gym, correct?
Yeah. Well, he's partners with somebody.
Okay. I think at 36 years old, Matt Brown, it's a different situation for Matt Brown. At 36 years old, Carlos Condit is at Jackson Wink, correct?
Yep.
No,
No, he's not. Where'd he go?
no, he's not Jackson Wink.
According to this, yes. Sure dog.
Yeah, no. Negative, not anymore. He's
Okay.
he was, and then he left.
Got it. Is he in Colorado?
No, he's still in New Mexico. You know, he went back with trying to think of Tom's name. I just know him as Tom.
Just know it's Tom.
His old trainer and stuff that you started out with.
Tom
'Cause
from
he was with Tom.
MySpace? Tom from MySpace.
Yeah, and then he went from there to Jackson Wink. He was with Jackson Wink for a while, and then went back.
Got it. I feel like when you're at like say a gym like Jackson Wink and like how I was at AK or other people, I feel like when you get to that certain age level, you start to feel like the old guy. And you are. But do you feel? I wonder. Does it make a difference on how you perform? Because you don't want to train with the young guys that might hurt you. You don't want to train with the young guys that may go super hard. It just you almost feel like you outgrown. I don't say you've outgrown the sport. You've outgrown training with the younger guy. I don't know what it is.
Training with killers.
Yeah, I wonder those things. That 36, 37 age is like that feeling of this may not be for me. You don't really have anything in common anymore with the people. Sure, you guys are friends, but you don't really have anything in common anymore with the young ones that are coming up. Do you feel like it affects the fighting at all?
I think you always have to look towards new things. And it's like you're talking about Condit. Condit went out to, and I can't say he did it for this camp, but for his last one, I know he went to the, Donald Cerrone and the Bad Motherfucker Ranch. And he did some training out there and stuff. And you've got to do things that make it fun again, bring a spark, make it to where it's a little bit different. It's not the same goddamn grind again, one day after the other. And it's not easy to do at times. But when you have someone like a Cerrone out there that you can go to and something, you can get a lot of different guys out there, and you get the Joe Schillings out there, and you get all these different people, and all of a sudden it's a little bit fun. And they're not trying to kill you because they're all, in that same, level of, they've all been there, done that, have been world champions or things like that. So it's incumbent upon you as a fighter to find that if you're going to stay on in the sport, the older you get, because it's like anything, it's so hard to explain, but when you are really good at something and you've done something that everybody else looks at you and goes, wow, he does that. Well, yeah, he does that, but he would like to do something else too.
Yeah.
Be it, hey, I want to be able to freaking, take a Harley apart and put it back together. I want to be able to make, cabinetry, whatever it is. He's going to end up gravitating towards some other, thing that he likes, and it doesn't hurt as much.
Yeah. This is true. Look, I like watching both these guys fight. Like you said with Matt Brown, I don't think I've ever seen a fight that I didn't enjoy of his. Yep. And Carlos has just been around, I think, as long as I've been around. I mean, like, he's been fighting since he was young. When was he in the WEC? I remember watching him fight before it was back out in Lemoore. I think he was in Lemoore.
Think about it. Icon. He was in Hawaii fighting Frank Trigg and all those guys in the tournament and stuff. I mean, he's been around for a long time.
Yeah, but he used to fight, I believe, WEC before it was bought by the UFC. He was in the he was in the WEC before he fought in the UFC. It was like before the UFC.
Well, he was in the WEC now. He was in the WEC before he went to the UFC. Obviously, he was the welterweight champ there. But I think the UFC owned it at the time that he went there.
Yeah, I think that you're right, because it says his first fight in the WC was in Las Vegas, so that would mean that.
Yeah,
because nothing really.
Zuffa owned it.
Yeah, nothing gets into Vegas yeah. Then he fought Extreme Wars. What's it called? Rumble on the Rock.
Rumble on the Rock.
Back in the day, ROF. And then King of the Cage. Gosh, man, he's been fighting a long time. 2003, 2002. Oof, what an animal.
Yeah, but these are the guys you look at and you go, I always tell guys, man, if you have a 10-year career, you've done phenomenal. and then you get the guys that, they go beyond, they go past that. You did it, and you go into the 15 years, you get guys going into 18, even 20 years of fighting. And it's actually amazing, and it's a tribute to that person as an athlete, as, mentally how tough they are as far as just the grind that it takes to, pick it up every time and go back and do it again. Not easy. So you get someone with an 18-year career, very impressive.
Shit, he's 36. He's got at least 3 more years left in him.
If he wants it.
Yeah, if he wants it. I think the fact that he's not as active as he normally used to be, I think that he's going to start to kind of just drift off. It just like I don't think the training is as fun anymore, probably. Like when fighters get older and they're not as active, then I get the vibe and the feeling like, okay, they're starting to lose touch with the fact that it's not as fun as it used to be. And there's not only that, but then there's other things in life that are just getting in the way. Kids, house, wife, traveling, things that you've neglected for the last 18 years because you've been training 2-3 times a day. It's like you've been just following your diet. You've been hitting the road and the pavement, like all that shit that you've missed out on. And I when fighters only fight once a year or once every 18 months, I get that vibe that they're trying to work their way out. Slowly, they're mentally trying to process like, okay, what's next for me? What am I going to do? But I'm excited to see. This is one of those fights that I've always been excited to see. I was hoping to see it sooner than this, but I'm excited. Let me see what else. I don't even know how you say this guy's last name. Ponzinibbio and Jing Liang Li. He's a last minute replacement, correct?
I believe that he was put in there as a replacement. I can't say how last minute it was.
This is last week, I believe.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was last week.
I think it was like 2 weeks.
Okay, I'm sorry. We're splitting hairs there. Come on.
I think, man, I'm telling you right now, I look at that and, Zhilang Ji, he came into the UFC because he was really the first Chinese fighter, and they were trying to give him people in the beginning. And then, his last fight he was the favorite against Neil Magny. And I was like, what are they thinking?
Yeah.
And nothing against him as a fighter. He's a tough dude and he will throw down. But again, they are stacking this guy up. It's like you gave him all these people in the beginning of his career, hoping that he could beat them so you could have this guy from China and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Man, his last 2 fights now with Ponzinibbio, that's a horrible fight for him. Ponzinibbio is good. His striking is outstanding. He is tough as hell. So, I don't know.
He's from China top team. Damn.
Okay.
Top team is all the way out there in China. Damn, top team.
Well, there's top teams everywhere.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, there's a top team in China. I mean, I wouldn't have thought. I didn't know that until I just read it right now on his bio.
I think Jing Liang, he's been there since like either 2014, 2015, something like that. He's been in the UFC a long time.
Yeah,
it's 2014.
Oof. Yeah. I mean, Ponzinibbio is good.
Yeah, that's my whole thing.
Really
Every time I look at that matchup and I go, man, that's just not a good matchup for you. I don't know what the odds are on it, but I know Ponzinibbio's got to be the favorite, and he's got to be a pretty heavy favorite. I would say 3-1.
We'll take a look at that. We'll do the betting on the odds or weighing in on the odds here pretty soon.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that next. We're going to win you guys some money here shortly, fellas. We're going to win you guys some money. All right. Go ahead. You know what? Let's get into it now. Let's talk about the odds.
We're weighing in on the odds.
We're going to weigh in on these odds, Dave.
Oh, nice job, dude. That was just a beautiful segue.
Dave has created a weighing in on the odds segment for us. And so he created what'd you create? One of those, a graphic?
Yeah.
And so,
nice graphic.
Yeah, I'm not very tech, guys, as you guys can tell. I'm very techy, so the verbiage is not there. But let's get into this. Let's see what we got here.
Well, you got to go to mybookie.ag or .com and sign up. Give them the whole thing. They sign up for the very first time they sign up, they get 50% more. So if you put $500 down, you get $750 total, a $250 add-on by MyBookie, so you can bet on these fights. You can make some money, and you can bring the shoes home to the little baby.
The shoes.
It's all about the shoes.
It is all about the shoes.
It is all about the shoes.
The shoes. The shoes.
You can't have your kid walking around in shitty looking shoes, man. They got to be tight.
I was watching one of the old, I know this is off topic, but I was watching one of the old Queens of Comedy, the very first one. And there was a segment where the girl talks about how she says, I'm walking through the airport and I get so mad when parents name their kids after vehicles that they can't live up to. She's like, when you yell your kid's name, yo, come here, Mercedes, but your kid look like a Buick. I started cracking up. She said, at least name your kid something they can live up to. She's like, when I hear someone yell at their kid, see this kid with this big old diaper swollen 15 times the size, walking through the store, and you yell at him, come here, Denzel. She's like, oh, no, you did not call your kid Denzel. Like, I just started cracking up. John doesn't get it. He's old. He's 75. He's like,
I get it.
No idea. No. Anyways, maybe I'm just, but it just made me think of that. I know that was completely off topic. All right. Okay. So let's get into this. Okay. So, weighing in on the odds, Calvin Kattar versus Max Holloway. Calvin Kattar's plus 130 and then minus 160 for Max Holloway.
So Max Holloway's the favorite.
Yes, he is.
But not by much.
I would still bet on Max Holloway.
Good. I would bet on Calvin Kattar.
Really?
Absolutely. You said 160?
Yeah.
Hello, I'm putting $100 down to get 160.
Yeah, I know. But I'm still betting on Max. Because Max is actually gonna win this fight.
Oh, you're wrong.
Wow. Wow. You think Calvin's going to win this? You think Calvin's going to win this fight?
I do.
Oh,
I think
man.
stylistically, Max has got to fight something that the way he doesn't like to fight. He likes to get into wars. He loves to plant his feet and throw down, and he's awesome at it. And I love him as a fighter. I just think this is the wrong guy to do that with.
Ooh. I think Max fights a smart fight. I think Max wrestles. I think Max uses
definitely
jiu-jitsu.
could, and he could definitely win the fight.
Yeah, I'm
So
sorry.
he's got to
guys.
fight that smart fight.
I'm going Max.
All right.
Don't listen to John, you guys.
Like
don't listen to John. No, Max Holloway is minus 160, so I'm going to go with Max. I think Max, not only is he the favorite, but
He's your favorite?
he's my favorite in this fight. So, what's the other one?
Then we had Carlos Condit against Matt Brown. What's the odds on that?
Carlos Condit is a minus 165, and Matt Brown is plus 135.
Yeah, I got to go with Carlos.
Yeah.
Putting the extra money down.
Glad you're finally starting to see the light.
No, you don't have to be a follower your whole life. Man.
Oh, man.
Look at you. And last one, let's go with we talked about Ponzinibbio against Lee Jiling Ji, whatever. What is it?
It is Jingliang Li is plus 220 and Ponzinibbio is minus 280. That's a safe bet. I feel like it.
That was close.
Yeah,
I said 3-1.
3-1. Yeah, you were close. You're right. It's kind of close. Kind of close.
I would put down the extra money on Santiago.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of those fights I just wouldn't bet on. Just to be honest, I don't want to put down 280 and then win my two. I just wouldn't do it. The risk reward to me is not there. I wouldn't do that.
Well,
I would.
And you could be right about it, because if there's one thing about Jiang Liang, he is dangerous in that he will throw from any angle. When he's in trouble, he swings wild and crazy, but he connects at times and he does have power. So there is the possibility. I still say Ponzinibbio walks away the winner in that fight easy.
There was another fighter that I saw on there. Let's take a look at the Buckley fight.
Joaquin Buckley? That man has just made a living in this COVID era. He has been fighting his ass off. That's awesome.
He's fighting Alessio Di Chirico. Okay, I have not seen Alessio fight. So do you have any information on him?
Yeah.
If you don't, tough. I won't hold it against you.
He fought. I think his last fight was against Zach Cummings. He lost that fight. It was a close fight. It was a decision. It was the difference in Cummings being able to take him down at times, but there was also a couple of times Cummings landed a big shot. And he landed, I'm trying to remember, I think it was the second round. He landed a big shot right at the end of the round, which switched the round. And that's what got him the win. But, it's I think Buckley's just too strong, too good in the stand-up. It's going to be a stand-up fight, because Buckley really does not try to take anybody down, and you're not going to be seeing the fight going to the ground by Alessio. So I would say, this is technique versus technique, power versus power, and Buckley has proven he's got some power. Not that, Chirico cannot beat him. It's a possibility, but I give it to Buckley.
Got it. All right. Well, hey, that's our weighing in on the odds. If you guys want to take a look at those on mybookie.ag, hit the promo code weighing in, and they'll give you an extra 50% on your initial deposit. So if you deposit $1,000, they'll give you another $500 only on your first initial deposit. So that's mybookie.com or mybookie.ag. Use the promo code weighing in and get that extra 50% on your first initial deposit. All right, guys. Well, thanks for that. And then let's jump into what you just pull up. You said you wanted to talk about Dave. Come on, Dave. Let's go, buddy. Stay motivated.
I was telling you the 259, UFC 259 got pretty stacked.
Yeah, I did get pretty stacked. They have three title fights?
Yep.
Yes, 3 title fights. Now, look, the history has been shown that 3 title fights on one card normally sucks. Don't get me wrong. I think they had
I hate saying that because I love the fact that they do it.
I do. I love the fact that they do it. Yeah. It normally sucks given the history of it all. But the card is fucking just stacked, man. It is really stacked. So Jordan Espinoza is fighting Tim Elliott. Islam Makhachev is fighting Drew Dober. Benavidez is fighting Askarov. And then you've got Thiago Santos is fighting. Okay, we got murdered for how we said it. I thought it was Rakic.
Rakic.
Okay. I'm gonna say Rakic, and you say Rakic. Okay.
I think it's Rakic. I was told Rakic. So okay. I could be wrong. But.
And then Dominic Cruz, Casey Kenny. Is that a good fight for Dom?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
We talked about that fight before, and I think their styles make fights, and Dom is slowing down a little bit. That just comes with getting a little older. He's super smart in the cage, got an incredible fight IQ, but it's hard to overcome speed and power and youth. Yeah, and this is just not a good matchup. He cannot out wrestle Casey. He's striking wise. Casey Kenny comes after people, and Casey is many times uses the southpaw, stays in the southpaw. He's just a handful, man. He's the coming. So this is going to be a tough fight for Dominic Cruz.
You got Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling, Amanda Nunez and Megan Anderson. Ooh, and then you've got Jan Blachowicz versus Dave. Did you hear that? Let's try and get on track with this, buddy.
Blachowicz.
And then Israel Adesanya. Okay, so this card is just fucking stacked from top to bottom. Great card. I'm excited for this card. I'm going to run through a couple of these. So we've talked a little bit about already the Islam Makhachev and Drew Dober fight. Good fight. I think Islam, it does scare me a little bit because Dober is shorter. Dober does lunge in with big shots. Islam's just got to be very cautious in the early part of the first round, in the first 2.5, 3 minutes. He's got to make sure he's very defensive. Use his wrestling, get into the clinch, foot sweeps, all those things that will take away the power of Drew Dober. Fight him in a phone booth in that clinch in that area there, press him against the fence. Get him to slow down a little bit, and then as the fight goes on, just start working your stand-up as well as your wrestling, all those things. What people don't realize is how good Islam Makhachev is on the ground. He is super fucking strong. I mean, look, I don't care what you think of Deron Wynn, but Deron Wynn will tell you this. He's just like short little, he's a short stump of a wrestler, explosive, really strong.
Deron Wynn is DC Junior.
Yeah, he's strong though as hell as well. Deron has made it very vocal. Islam Makhachev is the strongest guy he's ever grappled with. Strongest guy ever. And Deron has traveled all around the world and wrestled some of the best wrestlers in the world. He's like, Islam Makhachev is the strongest guy I've ever grappled with, ever. And all the training I've done with Islam as well, he's just gotten better and better. It's the funny part is you just very rarely see these guys on their back. And so you don't see how good they are off the bottom. And that's the other thing is that when they do get on bottom, they don't stay there very long because they're so good at getting into certain sweeps that they hit, and they hit it very well from the bottom. And then when they get on top, you just can't get them off of you. I almost feel like it's a bait thing sometimes. Sometimes they always start on the bottom. So when we're grappling, they'll always touch hands and they'll just go right to their butt and they'll go ahead and just start grappling from the bottom, end up on top, and then you're done. Like they just hold you down. And they'll continue to do that over and over. But I mean, guys like Deron Wynn have spoken high praise of Islam. I always speak high praise of Islam because he was one of my main training partners for a couple of years. He's phenomenal. He's extremely good on the ground. Drew Dober scares me a little bit because of the height, or not the height, but because of the height. Because he is a little bit shorter, the punches come on the overhand rights, the overhand lefts.
Harder to get into.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that kind of, if you leave your chin up and your hands down for a second, and you get caught on the button, it's one of those things that just kind of scares me. Islam is a technician, though. He's very good. So I'm excited to see the fight. It's a much different fight, though, John, than the Dos Anjos fight. And so Dos Anjos is good on the ground, got decent wrestling, not anywhere near Islam's level of wrestling, but he's good on the ground, and he's got good leg kicks. That's the other thing as well. We've seen with Khabib and also too with Islam is that they know how to check kicks, but they don't always do it all the time. They're a little heavier on that front foot. Islam not so much as Khabib, but it just makes it an interesting fight for me when I see stylistic height, range, reach, all those things, because those are the things that kind of scare me when guys are long and lanky and tall that are fighting shorter and stockier guys. Punches come from angles that they're not used to really dealing with as much.
It's going to be a good fight. I think the matchup is good. I love Drew Dober, so I think he's in a little over his head as far as certain aspects of MMA when it comes to matching up with Islam. But all it takes is one on the chin. And Drew Dober has shown he has got that, and he has gotten much better. Being where he's at now, I think he's at elevation, and man, they've done a good job with him. He's learning other things. He's fighting smarter. That says everything. So there's the other fight that's on that card that you're not going to hear about, but it's going to be fantastic. Is Jake Matthews against Sean Brady? That's going to be a good fight. Okay. Sean Brady is a beast, and Jake Matthews we watched. I think his last fight was against Diego Sanchez, and kind of dismantled Diego and stuff, and you could see where they were using Diego to kind of push Jake Matthews in that. But this fight, they ain't giving Jake Matthews nothing because Sean Brady is a freaking beast. It's going to be good.
Okay. Let's see. Let's take a look at that. But they're not doing Joseph Benavidez any favors.
Nope.
They're giving him Askarov.
Not at all.
12-0-1 is Askarov. Joseph Benavidez coming off of his loss, correct? To Figueiredo.
Yep.
Is this become? Yeah, it's 2 losses. But I mean, is this like, hey, let's get him to fight Askarov, a big name, so we can have him move on to a title shot next?
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
What is it?
Oh,
you got to build one guy, and God, I hate saying it because I love Joe Benavidez, but can he beat Figueiredo?
No.
So he's not even a question as far as fighting for the championship again, where Askarov could be. So
yeah. Does Askarov win this fight?
I think he does.
How?
It's, just being, and this is the difference. I think that Benavidez's ground game is definitely better than Askarov, and he can control him on the ground. I'm not saying he's going to be able to submit him, but he'll be able to control him and do damage and get a win by getting the fight to the ground. Does Joe do that? That's my question, and that's my problem.
Got it.
So, Joe fell in love with knocking people, out. And, he's got good stand-up, but he's got a short reach, and he's got to do certain things to get inside. And Askarov in the stand-up game, technically, is very good. So it's going to be a good fight, but I think Askarov has the advantage.
Let's get into these title fights, man. Peter Yan, baby. Aljamain Sterling. Give it to me, John. Give me what you think. Sterling been talking all sorts of shit.
Well, you take a look and you say, can Aljamain Sterling beat him? Yes, not a doubt about it. If he could get him down, he has the ability to submit him because Aljamain is good on the ground. He is slick on the ground. Do I think he's going to be able to get him down there and get into those positions? I don't think so. I think Peter Yan, technically in the stand-up, is better than Aljamain. I'm not saying he's faster. I think Aljamain is super fast and has the ability to stay with him for a while, but the striking that Peter Yan will bring will start to break Aljamain down if he's not able to get the fight onto the ground where he doesn't, consecutively sustain damage in rounds with leg kicks and the punches and strikes that are going to come from Peter Yan. Look, you've seen the one person who Peter Yan lost to in Magomedov, and you know how good he is. Yeah. Right. But then he got a win against him too, and he came back and beat him. So, Peter Yan he's just a fucking beast, and he's just getting better. Yeah. I thought that Aldo actually had a brilliant performance for the first 3 rounds against Yan. He was with him and he was doing well, but systematically was getting beat down. And if Aljamain Sterling cannot get this fight off of the feet and onto the ground where he can do his work, it's going to be a long night for him.
Yeah, I think I just don't see any weaknesses in Peter Yan's game. That's the thing. I don't see, he's good on the feet. He's good in the clinch. He's got his nasty little fucking foot sweep that gets people on the ground, breaks their balance before they can throw power when you fight him in a phone booth. We saw that with the Magomedov fight. I saw it several times in that fight. It was almost every time they clinched, he foot swept him. And we saw how good of a wrestler Magomedov is. Just phenomenal wrestler. And so when I see these things, I'm like, I think that Yan is a different level than a lot of these guys in that weight class. And until you find somebody else, when you said he could submit him, I almost thought it was like cringeworthy to hear you say that.
No, look, Aljamain has that ability. He really does.
In terms that
it's got to be early, and he's got to be dry too.
And it's got to be
as it gets into the later rounds. Oh yeah,
it's got to be fast. It's got to be one of those ones where he slaps on that guillotine so fast he doesn't have a chance to really do anything but tap. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be one of those where we saw like with the Pettis and the Benson Henderson type armbar. It's got to be one of those where you make a mistake and your arm's there and boom, it's on so fast. Nothing you can do. John Jones and Vitor Belfort style. You've got nothing to do. It's like, oh shit, it's already there. It's got to be one of those submissions. It's not going to be a slow, methodical, let me put it in. Like, let me put it in like this. I walked into that one. Oh shit.
No comment.
Yeah, no comment. It's going to be one of those. It won't be.
It's already one of those.
Yeah, it won't be one of those. It's going to be one of those where he's going to have to slap it on real fast for it to happen. And I don't see it happening, especially early in the round when Peter Yan he's not tired. He's not slowed down at all. He's a very smart fighter. And when I went back and watched the Magomedov fight, they were both even in the 4th and 5th round, they're fucking like little ferrets just getting after it. Extremely talented, both of them. But I mean, it was just that level. I don't know if Aljamain Sterling can do that for a 5-round fight. I don't know if he can do that.
Well, it is, it's the question because Aljamain has had fights where he's done really well in the beginning and then tailed off. So there is that possibility, but you're looking at a fight and saying it's a championship fight. The champion is going to be the favorite. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
It's the question of what can Aljamain do to make it to where he can get the fight down early? Because that's a key element, in my opinion, for him to possibly get a win. He's got to get the fight down early, and he's got to keep Jan from damaging him while he inflicts damage and puts Jan into bad positions. It's not going to be easy. Jan's the favorite, but can Sterling do it? Sterling can do it. He's a good fighter, and he's tricky, and he's got a full submission game, and his leg locks have gotten way better. And that might be one of the ways to attack someone like Peter Yan. I'm not saying it is. I would be very hesitant in suggesting it. But, when you're really good with them and you're going against someone that doesn't understand him as much, it can be super effective.
True. I just, Aljamain's he's got to make it a fast and scrappy fight, try to catch him in some sort of scramble right off the bat in the first 2-3 rounds. If he doesn't do that, it's not going to go his way. Just in my
he's got to do it. He's got to do it in the first round. I'm not saying he's got to win it in the first round.
Yeah.
He has got to get the fight. If he doesn't get the fight to the ground in the first round.
For those of you guys at home didn't see, John was waving goodbye.
I'm waving.
He's waving goodbye.
It's over.
Okay, so Amanda Nunez and Megan Anderson. Is it Megan? Is it Megan or is it Megan?
Whatever.
Come on, guys. People were crucifying.
Whatever you want to say.
People say I've always said when I saw that, it's always been Megan my whole life. So, but if she wants to be called Megan, I'll do it. But anyways,
she's a really nice girl.
She seems like
very,
she is.
tall, super. She's gotten way better with James Krause. In doing her training and stuff, and so we'll see if that helps in any fashion. I just don't see it helping against who she's fighting against. She's fighting against, someone's one of the best fighters that's ever put on MMA gloves as a female. She's a stud. She might even be the best. And I mean, she's learned where Amanda Nunez had her faults before. She's taken care of those. She's gotten rid of them. She's learned. She learned from her losses, and she has made herself dangerous as hell everywhere. And she doesn't fight, to go out and knock people's heads off if it's someone who she looks at and says, that person could possibly hurt me. I'm going to fight this fight a different way. Similar like she did with, Jermaine. She took Jermaine down. Jermaine on the feet is a monster. Amanda is a monster, but why are you gonna have this battle of the monsters on the feet? If you're better on the ground, put her there and make her fight into your world. And that's what Amanda does now. So in this fight, where does Megan Anderson have the advantage? Well, she definitely doesn't have it on the ground. It's not even close. Not even close. Okay. So
shouldn't have it on the feet either, by the way.
Hello, thank you very much. That's my point right there. It's like, and she doesn't have it on the feet. She doesn't have the power that Amanda does. She doesn't have, honestly, the speed that Amanda does. She's got length and she's got range, that God has given her, but I just don't see where that is going to end up good for her. You can go back, I think, when she fought Felicia Spencer, right? Look at what happened on the ground there. Now go and watch Amanda Nunez against Felicia Spencer. I mean, it's just, there's nowhere that I see that Amanda is added, even a draw. She's got this fight. The only way Amanda loses this fight is if Amanda spends all of her time with her baby, doesn't train, and decides, I don't care. Well, you go in with that attitude, you could lose. Other than that, she's going to win this fight.
Do they get rid of the division after this?
I think so. They just don't have anybody in the division. Who do you put against, Amanda's your champion. Well, who is it you're going to now put against her as a champion? Dave, pull up the featherweight division for UFC female division.
It doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist. See, there you go. They don't even have anybody, because if you look at the fighters they do have under contract right now, I mean, they could always bring a bantamweight up, but she fought Felicia Spencer.
It really doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't. It's not there. Megan, there's no one in it. So she said, if she was your only featherweight, she was only your featherweight champion and she wasn't your bantamweight champion too, you're kind of stuck. You don't want to get rid of the division. But since she is your bantamweight champion, it's over. Yeah. I just don't see them holding on to it.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it either. I mean, I don't see why they would. On top of that, the only fight people really want to see is Amanda Nunez and Valentina Shevchenko anyways. That's the only fight. That's the only fight really left to have. And Valentina says she's open to fighting her again. They've already fought twice, correct?
Yep.
Okay, twice? Or I thought maybe three.
Yes.
Yeah, so
they fought twice. Amanda won both.
Amanda won both. They were both very close fights.
One was a championship fight. The second one was a championship fight. The first one, Amanda wins the first two, and then she got kind of toasted by Valentina in the third. Mm-hmm. And that's why a lot of people looked and went, oh, she can beat her. Mm-hmm. And she could. You know what I think of Valentina Shevchenko as a fighter. She's a stud, but I don't think any less of Amanda Nunez. She is absolutely a stud now.
Is Valentina the best girl fighter in the world?
Technically, in my mind, yes. Technically. Overall, everything, the entire game, what she can do, how she can do it. I mean,
yeah,
she's
we've talked about
nasty good.
We've talked about it for a while. I think she's the best female fighter in the world. And when people want to talk about Amanda, I'm like, if you look, she's at 125. Valentina is. Amanda's at 145 and 135. Yeah, and she's her two of her three losses are to Amanda. I would say that
her third loss is on a cut to Liz Carmouche. Yeah, that you look and you go, that's not a stop. It shouldn't be a stoppage. And,
gotcha.
Yeah, happened.
Interesting. Go back to the card. Yeah, I don't see how Megan gets through her at all. Unless Amanda falls into like a triangle on accident or she gets push kicked in the face. It's something like that. Anderson Silva, Vitor Belfort, something. I don't even know. Look, I'm really just throwing it out there. It's not
Rolling Thunder.
Yeah.
Rolling Thunder. I'm telling you, come out, turn into it. The heel hits. It's over. Rolling Thunder is the way to win that fight. She's from Australia.
If you guys could see my face right now, I'm disgusted that John suggested that to you guys. I'm disgusted that he suggested that to you guys.
What else is there?
There's nothing to do. Yeah.
Nothing, man.
Then Dan Hardy landed an amazing Rolling Thunder on Bisping on the second fight. I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
I think you missed it entirely.
Okay, so Jan Blachowicz versus Israel Adesanya.
Whoa.
I think Izzy pieces him up. I think he pieces him up with the speed. He's too accurate and he pieces him up. Jan's going to walk in trying to box.
Yep.
And Izzy's just going to touch, kick, and boink. It's going to be over. It's going to be over. I think Luke Rockhold put a lot of pressure on Jan in the wrestling department, but he was able to kind of land a couple good shots in that exchange. Izzy's a different level of stand-up. And Izzy's going to be able to touch him enough to where it's going to make Jan a little bit more hesitant to just walk right in with big power shots. And he's going to get frustrated and try to do more because 185-pounder is piecing him up, or he's just going to sit back and do what Cochino did and just not do it. Borrachino. Yeah, he's just going to sit back and go, hey, I'm just going to just let the fight come to me, and Izzy doesn't have to bring the fight to him. Izzy's just got to touch. He will, but he'll just bring it
in his own fashion. Yeah,
he'll just touch and win by points because he's so damn good. I'm gonna go with Izzy. I think Izzy's gonna piece him up. It's not. I mean, he's gonna be cautious about it because you don't want to get touched. You don't want to get knocked out. But I think the speed, the reach, the range, all those things are gonna favor, and this just the style of stand up. He's so much better on the feet. Maybe not in the boxing area, but he's just so much better on the feet, mixing everything up.
Yeah, I really like what I've seen out of Jan Blachowicz as he's gone to light heavyweight, because people forget that he was a middleweight. Yeah, and then he went to light heavyweight, and the speed factor has helped him at light heavyweight. And he's a thick, block-headed, take a big shot Polish guy he's a mean, nasty, good fighter. I just always go with technical skill, and I don't rely on the chin, because the chin can only last so long no matter who you are. And I look at this fight, I look at it the same way as you. Technically, I think that Adesanya is just too good in the overall game, especially the stand-up game, because Blachowicz needs to get inside with his boxing.
Yeah.
And Israel is outstanding at keeping guys who want to get into a boxing range away from it. So I could be wrong, but I say that Israel walks away as the champion.
Yeah, I think so. But I guess the next question is does he just vacate that title, the 185-pound title after that?
So well, he's beaten just about everybody there is there.
Yeah.
And that's the real question. Is you're looking, there's a couple guys obviously coming up that you can start to say, all right, this, the Kevin Hollands are coming up, and the Buckleys are coming up, if you want to say that. They're not ready. Can
you pull up the 85-pound weight class? So we had suggested this a while ago, and I had said, look, he can stay at 205. Let the 185-pound division just settle in, and you create an interim title, not now, but in a little bit. Okay, after a couple guys have worked their way back up to fight, who I think will still be there will be Whitaker. Whitaker deserves to fight for an interim title if Izzy's going to stay up at 205 for a little bit and defend. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think the guys in the 185-pound division that are there right now, you have Paulo Costa, and you can have Robert Whitaker fight. You can have Paulo Costa, or you can have Robert Whitaker fight Cannonier. I mean, there's guys
in it. They just fought.
I mean, sorry, not Whitaker and Cannonier. Darren Till and Whitaker that can fight, or Cannonier can fight. We got to settle that. I think we got to settle the under those guys in 2, 3, 4, and 5 to see who's going to end up. Vittori, he's there as well. Get those guys to fight each other to see who's going to fight Whitaker for an interim title. That'll take probably another year and a half. That gives Izzy enough time to defend his title one time at 205. And then maybe if he wants to drop back down and have two champs or two titles, or he can vacate the title then at 205 or vacate the title at 185. But there's options to be made there because he has wiped out that division. Like John Jones. He's wiped out that division at 205. Him going to heavyweight, I think was the best thing, like we had talked about last week, for the UFC and for John Jones. He needs a little bit more motivation. He needs something to get him going. And the UFC needs to spark that heavyweight division up. Because the 205, even though he was so dominant and people tuned in, it's been the pillar of the organization all the way back from Frank Shamrock, Tito Ortiz, like that division. Was Randy there, or was Vitor Belfort? Who was before Frank? There was no one before Frank, right? Frank was the first, huh? 205-pound champ. The light heavyweight champ was Frank Shamrock was the first, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have Frank Shamrock, you got Tito Ortiz, and then you go on, Chuck and all those guys, Randy. You got those guys that were all in that list there. I think you let that dust settle below and have those guys fight. And then if Izzy wants to stay at 205, he may be a better fighter at 205. I don't know how much weight he cuts to get to 185, but he may be a better fighter at 205. And if he feels better and is performing the same, it's going to be hard for any of those guys to beat him. Because no matter how much I like Glover Teixeira and Santos and Dominic Reyes and Rakic and those guys, they don't have the technique that he has on the feet. And I don't see any of those guys. None of those guys they don't wrestle well enough, I think, to get him down. They're not better wrestlers than Yoel Romero. And so we get into that conversation.
Coming full circle.
Yeah, coming full circle back to ground one. I don't know who you would have in the 205-pound division. You could run into a whole nother thing where he ends up dominating that weight class as well, depending on how much weight he cuts and he's got the body style for it. And I could see him dominating that weight class as well at 205. There'd be no reason for him to go back to 85 if he kills himself to make the weight. Why?
Well, and I named a couple of guys when I was saying, Kevin Holland and Buckley. Obviously, there's other guys ahead of those guys. There's the Darren Tills that he hasn't fought. but you got to look at the guys he's fought and then other people, because, his last fight was against Costa and he smoked him. The fight before that was Romero, which was horrible. It was horrible. But, he had beaten Whitaker before that, and Whitaker beat Till. So it's one of those, there's really, like you said, he kind of cleared out the division.
Yeah.
There's really no one that you can look at and go, man, who's the guy that's going to, this is the guy that we think can actually, test him. It's going to be a while before that guy emerges in my mind, because you have Whitaker, who's fought him and lost. You can say Cannonier, but Cannonier lost to Whitaker. You can say Till, but Till lost to Whitaker. Mm-hmm. So, there's a couple of guys out there that you could say, yeah, I would like to see that fight. But I think the move right now to light heavyweight, it's the right move for him. When you clear out a division, which he pretty much did, that's the time to move on.
I think within a year and a half, we'll know if Kevin Holland's the real deal. And I think that body length and that style of how he fights, and we saw how he's got a pretty decent bottom grappling game in terms of being able to control the space, use his ability on the ground to kind of, we saw against Jacare.
His next fight.
Yeah. I mean, who what?
His next fight against Derek Brunson.
Yeah,
that's going to say a lot.
That's going to say a lot. And he gets that win. I mean, there's really no one else in front of him. I mean, he's going to go up to end up fighting probably a Darren Till or a Cannonier. I heard Darren Till's going back down to 70. That would be just ridiculous. Yeah. But I wouldn't mind seeing, the Darren Till, the Vettori, and Kevin Holland fight. But that'll let you know that body style, as we've talked about, does so well in MMA. But Kevin Holland Izzy would be a good fight in a year and a half. One of those year and a half, 2 years kind of thing, And I'd like to see him mature as a fighter before I go throwing him to the wolves. But it would be nice to see him get, if he fights Derek Brunson, beats Derek Brunson, and you got Hermanson, Vettori, Till, Cannonier, Costa all ahead of him. So really after he fights, who was he fighting again?
Holland's fighting Brunson.
Yeah, Brunson. After he fights, sorry, I just totally spaced out because Dave changed it. I was looking for the name and Dave changed the page. Just blacked out.
Dave, be careful. You can't pull away the words from him.
Yeah,
he's been hit in the head.
CTE. Yeah, if he has a good performance against Derek Brunson, man, he really, after that, he's got nothing but killers in front of him. Not that Derek Brunson's not, but I'm saying if he does get through him, it's going to be.
Well, if there's one guy you can truthfully look and say, all right, here's a guy that fought Izzy and actually had a good fight against him, it was Vettori. And Vettori then just, has a big win against Hermanson. Mm-hmm. He's the one guy that I think he has him saying, I deserve that fight. I kind of agree with it. Yeah. He'd be the next guy that I would say, yeah, kind of, after he fought him once, he put on a good performance. He put on a great performance against, Hermanson. So yeah, he's the guy that's sitting out there in Never Never Land that you kind of feel bad for.
Well, it makes it fun. I think this is what the UFC needed, though, going into 2021, as they needed something to really mix it all up. You're going to see John Jones in the heavyweight division this year, and you're going to see Izzy fighting in the light heavyweight division this year. And you're going to see the dust settle at 185 pounds. And they're going to have, probably a new champion, I think, by the end of the year there, because I think if Izzy wins against Jan, he'll stay there. I don't think there's any reason for him to go back down. That would be smart on his part.
Yep.
And who knows? Maybe we'll see Usman go up to 185.
There's a lot of guys for him to fight 170.
Yeah, I know there is, but what else?
So one piece of news that I don't know if you guys talked about it already, but did you know that there's going to be attendance at Poirier McGregor?
A low intent. They're doing a certain amount of people at this event for the Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier fight.
Yeah,
and they've already sold it out.
Yeah, but they said the lowest ticket was $1,500 something.
No, it was 200 something.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
215.
They said it was like $250 for the lowest ticket. Those tickets were bought up by.
Oh yeah, Sheiks and
yeah, right away. So it's like
$250
certain corporation.
Oh, okay. Maybe I missed
the highest is $1,350.
Oh, maybe that's what I saw then. Okay.
Try to get one for $250, Dave.
Try and get one for $250.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not going to Abu Dhabi, so.
Well, you trust me. your chances of getting one for $250 are about the same as your chances of getting in there at Abu Dhabi. Ain't gonna happen.
I think it's good. We're getting a little bit of fans back. I mean, who did I watch this? I watched Buffalo. I watched a little bit of the Buffalo game yesterday, the football game, and they had fans. You know, certain states are opening up to fans, which is kind of cool to see. So
Florida's one of them. Do you guys think UFC is going to go into Florida more with having fans?
they don't really like Florida. They haven't like. I mean, the last show they did before, I think Orlando, right, was Miami at UFC 42. You know, I don't.
No, they did the first COVID one at Florida.
Okay,
they did the three shows in Jackson, but before that's what he's talking about. And they've been there. It's usually about once a year. It's just not very often.
In Florida?
Yeah.
I thought Miami was the last time. Oh, maybe that was the last time they were in Miami. Maybe the last time they were ever in Miami. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Masvidal is campaigning for them to do it at one of the arenas there because they're all in fans. So
Yeah.
And it's obviously a big name.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done because Showbox, right? Showtime Boxing. They went to San Antonio. There was it the Alamo Dome or something? They were at an arena there for one of their boxing matches, and they had fans there as well.
There's been a bunch. When you just look at Ryan Garcia just fought Luke Campbell.
Yeah,
people in the stands.
Got it.
So there's places where you can do it, but the UFC has basically, Fight Island is a separate entity, but they've already got the shows planned for the Apex as soon as they get back from the Fight Island. So, yeah, I know they would like to have fans, but they want to have fans under the purview that the way they want it. Yeah, they don't want it the way the state wants it. So I think they'll wait until it's the way they want it.
Did you guys see that Megan O'Leary is running for Congress in some position in Vegas?
What? No.
She's running for one of the
now or in 2 years. Because she won't be able to run for another. She'll start probably campaigning in a year. I heard she had talked about doing it. I didn't know she was doing it. I know that there was talk of her potentially running for a position in Vegas.
I don't know. Yeah, what her.
I thought it was more like a city council or maybe it is a congressman. Who knows? I mean, look, I don't know much about her other than that she's married to Joe.
She's running for mayor.
Oh, she's running for mayor of Las Vegas?
Yeah.
What
the fuck?
Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Megan O'Leary aiming to run for mayor of Las Vegas.
And
the Goodmans have had that locked down for quite a while.
Maybe they're running out of people to run. Who knows?
Never know.
Look, I don't know anything. I don't know much about. I know she's a sweetheart. I've talked to her several times at some of like the center bars, with the alpha male guys. They were all, everyone there and hanging out. She seems like a really sweet person. And she's, and Joe's a great guy as well. So I mean, if they were to run, I think they would be great people to have around. I can't say much about it other than the fact that I think I don't know if she'd be a good mayor or not. And she seems very organized. She seems very on point of what she does. She does a great job speaking. She's a wonderful advocate for the sport of MMA. I can't say anything else. I can't say anything negative about her at all. I don't know anything much about her other than the fact that what I see and what I've talked to her about personally, but she seems like a wonderful person if she was going to run. And I don't know what you know.
And in that exact moment, as I refreshed the news feed, Chael Sonnen hints at running in Oregon.
Jeez.
He said he tweeted to the, I don't know, whoever's in charge up there. It takes a good guy to stop a bad guy, but I've also heard it could take an even worse guy to stop a bad guy.
Yeah, he's conservative, is from what I gathered. He ran as a conservative before, correct? And he lost. And if he runs again as a conservative in that area that which he lives in, he's not going to win. That's he
Chael
lives
Sonnen in Oregon.
Yeah.
That's a good combo. I like that one.
Yeah, it's so weird to me. I'm like, how do you? Yeah, he lives in the mean streets of what? West Lynn, baby. West Lynn. But yeah, back to Megan. I think hey, that's kind of cool. I think it's kind of a cool deal. See if she.
Well, if that's her aspiration and that's what she wants to do, and awesome. Look, the one thing she's super smart.
Yeah.
Okay. She's, really intelligent. She talks well. And so, she has the right background and has the right ideas. Maybe people will get behind her. Right now, you have no idea who will vote for who or what or anything like that. But maybe the UFC needs some political help. Their guys leaving. Well, I don't know if it's only Dana's guy. So
interesting.
Who knows?
Who knows? But she's
Well,
a good spokesperson, I believe.
I'd move to Vegas if she was me.
Oh my gosh. You guys, I just rolled my eyes to Dave's comments. All right. Well, I heard there was some talk about Kraus fighting Buckley after Buckley gets this next fight. I heard apparently, isn't the Buckley the one that had a hard time or doesn't like him? They don't like each other?
They don't like it. Well, supposedly James Krause, said basically, didn't allow him to come into Glory, which is James's gym, to train. Said, no, we don't want your kind here because he thought that he was, in his opinion, he thought that Buckley didn't train smart with other training partners and it hurt things. It's like, I don't want you. Now, is that what Buckley is? No, Buckley's a good guy, man. He's a tough competitor and tough fighter, but they have a difference of opinion of each other. And sometimes the best way to get that respect is to step in the cage and put it on the line. So I have no problem with it. Buckley normally is 185. Krause has fought at 185. He did when he walked in and stepped in that last second fight, and did really well for, I think it was against Giles, but, did really well till he got tired of pushing all that weight and everything. So the real question is, what weight would it be at too? Would it be at 170 where they could kind of meet up? Because James has done 155 and 170 and Buckley's done 170, but mostly 185.
Got it. What else? Anything else?
That's UFC bantamweight Irwin Rivera. Did you see the story on him?
Yeah, he got arrested.
Yeah, for stabbing his family. But now his family have come out and said that they don't hold it against him. That something evil took over him, and they just want him to get the help he needs.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'm all for that. If he needs help, get the help. But you can't sit there and say, "Oh, it's okay."
Yeah,
it's
you can't condone it.
Okay, you can't condone it. He did something that could have taken the life of another human being, be it a sister, a brother, or whoever. That doesn't change it, and it doesn't change it when they say, "Well, it's okay." We know he didn't mean it. That's for lawyers to decide what they're going to do with that. But him getting help is the key.
Yeah, we had this conversation about Mike Perry last week and about mental health and how important it is. But John, to touch on what you said, is to me it is important for the family to show forgiveness to him, because if it is going to work and heal, then they need to be behind him and showing him that they forgive him, because if they don't, it's going to cause more of a problem.
I totally agree with you. It's great that the family shows forgiveness, but that has nothing to do with the legal case.
I don't think that they're
in the trouble that he's in.
Yeah, I don't think they're insinuating that. I think they're just saying, hey, we forgive him and we understand that something evil came over him, whatever it is, whatever they believe. But for this whole thing to end up eventually coming around so it doesn't happen again, I think it was smart on their part to say that they showed forgiveness for him, because that's what he's going to need. He's going to need his family, like we talked about with Mike Perry. He has to rely on his future wife and now his son to be there for him. And so his family, and so for this other fighter, his family needs to be there for him to support him and help get him back on his feet and give him help and get him help. And while he's getting those help, is to be there for him to support him. And I think that was good on their part by doing that and showing they understand. And that's the step that we need for healing. I think across everything that we're doing right now, across the nation, everything, is we all just need to just support each other and continue to look after one another for everyone to heal. What else we got? Is that it?
Yeah, that's not.
I think we're good.
All right.
Josh trying to make fun of me when his brain cut off halfway through a sentence.
It did. All right, guys. So we look, also to finish up and wrap this up. So go to mybookie.ag or mybookie.com. Use the promo code WayneIn for your first initial deposit. Add $1,000 or not $1,000. Deposit $1,000 and they give you 50% of your initial deposit. Add. So you can end up walking away with another $500 on their dime. You get to spend on the gambling. We also did our segment today of weighing in on the odds. So if you guys go back and listen to that, if you guys scrub through, which hopefully you did not, you guys can take a chance at looking at that and seeing what we advise you guys on potentially betting on. And hopefully you guys can win some money. Do not listen to Big John. John's the one that has all the money still left in his account. I burned through mine. That shit is gone.
All good.
Other than that, go to Pro Wrestling Tees/WayneIn. There is no promo code right now, but there is one for.
There's one for the website.
For the website itself.
The code is New Year, and it gets you 20% off. And that goes until the 10th. And then from the 10th until the end of January, we'll have the code podcast, which will also get you 20% off.
And then I'm also going to wrap this up also too with another. I'm going to go back to what we talked about in the very beginning. Is I'm going to plug these two young guys that have started a new little YouTube channel. So Ollie the Sharpshooter, you guys check out his videos. He interviews like BJ Penn. He's done some interviews. He's a young kid, only 6 years old. A lot of pro wrestlers and a couple of the media guys also from Bellator. He interviewed them as well. And then KT Experience just started just recently. No videos are up, but they're going to look into try and get some videos up hopefully in the next week or two. But hit the subscribe button on them. If you guys have kids, have them subscribe to their channel as well. Appreciate you guys, man. These are some of my close friends, little ones. And so we'd like to have you guys do that if you guys could. Appreciate it. And John, what else you got?
Only thing I have to say is everyone in the new year, be nice to each other, treat each other well. And in the end, we will all see you